Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Gonzalez. Welcome to the Bernadette Pillar Real Estate Podcast. Excited to be back with Bernadette. How you feeling?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you
Good,
doing?
good. Feeling great. Glad to be with you. We haven't done one in a while, so it's good to catch up. Let's get right into it. We're seeing a little bit of a shift in the market. What are you seeing out there?
Yes, Mike. We definitely are seeing a shift. I'm not going to uh, say that we're not still a seller's market, though. We are still a seller's market, but we're not. My verbiage, my term has always been, has been for the last year essentially, is that we've been a seller's market on steroids.
Right.
Where I would not say that we're a seller's market on steroids per se anymore. We are still a seller's market though, but we are definitely seeing a shift. We are seeing houses sitting on the market a little bit longer. And we are seeing a little bit more, we're seeing where we're negotiating a little bit more. Sellers aren't necessarily having the steroidal upper hand that they have. So those houses that, would be flying off the shelf in negative days are taking, more into several weeks. So more important than ever is making sure that you are positioned correctly on the market, that you
Right.
truly are, scrutinize your realtor, you and your realtor scrutinize what's going on, scrutinize where you should be positioned price-wise, and make sure that house is a shiny penny.
Right, exactly. So if I do want to sell my house right now, you got to have your stuff in order. I know we've talked about that on prior podcasts. Let's look at the flip side of that. If I'm a buyer right now, because we do represent, buyers out there, this is a great
Mhm.
time to start looking again, right?
Yes, definitely, because again, it still is a seller's market, okay? But if a buyer waits, waiting for it to crash, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening, period. I
Right.
don't see it happening anytime soon, is really what I'm trying to say. So interest rates and other things that we have to take into consideration could offset that change for the positive anyway
Right.
in their
Right.
minds. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
So
totally.
so I think waiting, I think buying is now is still a very intelligent thing to do. And home ownership is still very important.
Oh yeah.
Rental inventory is still very low. Why would you want to pay for, pay somebody else's mortgage? Rentals definitely have their place. I have several, my husband and I have several, but and rentals do have their place. But why would you, if you don't have to,
Right.
pay somebody else's mortgage or
Yeah.
asset?
Exactly. And we were talking offline. My neighbor is actually an appraiser. And we were just talking about this morning about this same subject. He's seeing that shift in the market a little bit where homes that were going in 2 or 3 days are now taking up to a month. And he made a really good point to me. He's been in that business for 30 years. So he was telling me, Bernadette, in a normal market cycle, houses would sell in 90 days, and that was typically normal. So, and I guess my question really is, what advice do you give to home sellers right now who may be freaking out a little bit to say, man, my house hasn't gone in 3 days? What's the advice that you give them?
Because we are seeing a shift, I'm trying to set expectations properly with my sellers. That exactly that this is just something that we've gotten accustomed to because of the steroidal seller's market that we have been in. So
Right.
the expectations for selling in negative days, you were saying a couple days, but in some cases it's been negative days because,
Right.
for instance, when I've had inventory and I have my own buyer population, sometimes the property doesn't even go on the market, right? So is shifting, just like we're in this shift now, shifting from that mindset of negative 1, 2, 3 days on the market and getting an offer is very hard for some sellers to adapt to. So I say, just like you said, that we need to look back what a typical or a balanced market used to produce. And
Right.
that was where, you'd be on the market for, in a balanced market, if you're still positioned correctly, you can find yourself on the market 30 to 45
Right.
days. 90 days might be, I'm not going to contradict your appraiser friend whatsoever, but I still believe in the positioning and
Yeah.
pricing correctly method. So if so, you should find yourself on the market, maybe only 30 to 45
Right.
days. Everything changes. Everything that we talk about and we teach changes with every passing moment on the situation of the market. So if we shift to a buyer's market, then those days change,
Yeah.
that timing changes as well.
Exactly. Well, speaking of
But
changes, uh, okay, speaking of changes, Bernadette, final question here, because we're making this a quick podcast. We're headed into the winter months, and you kind of hear in the real estate business the urban legend, you got to buy before the winter hits, or don't buy, as the winter hits. So, but as we head into these, Christmas months, you get bogged into, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the New Year. Is it the wrong time to buy, or is it the right time to buy? Because I get this question quite a bit, especially as you head into the holidays.
well, my advice doesn't really change whether it's a seller or a buyer. People have to buy and sell real estate all year round. My production has always been very consistent, even in the winter months. Again, we are seeing what appears to be increased inventory because properties are not flying off the shelf as fast, but inventory really is still is still low. So I encourage, in fact, I spoke with a seller this morning. We're addressing that idea right, we're in the middle of it right now, trying to decide. There's some finishing work that they need to do if they're vacating. If we can get everything out of there in the estate sale by the first week of December, we are going to go on the market before the holidays. People, need to buy and sell.
Right.
They need to buy homes, and why not buy a new home for Christmas, right?
Hey, sounds
However,
great.
if we get closer to the actual Christmas, holiday, then I am suggesting that we wait until probably right after New Year to go on the
Right.
market. So it's going to depend on that. But truthfully, my advice, my colleagues might disagree with me, and that's fine. But I'm looking back at my 16-year history, and it's been pretty consistent. People need to buy and sell. And if everybody else is taking their homes off the market, then why not? You should be on the market. Give buyers something to choose from. And again, buyers are wanting to get into homes, and with inventory limited, this might be the greatest time for
Yeah.
them to consider buying.
Yeah. Well, that
When
sounds.
those who don't, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
Oh
but
no, go
when
ahead.
those
Go
don't
ahead.
want to move, when those don't want to move in the cold and you're motivated to do so, it might give you
Yeah.
an edge. So,
Yeah. I bought a house in the middle of winter. It was a great deal.
you
And
know,
that was one of the factors that people weren't buying. So we snatched it up. So it was a great time. So yeah, and it's just
yeah.
depending upon what your goals are at that time. Well, Bernadette, always great to talk to you. Before we let you go, can you give us your contact info so if people want to get a hold of you, they can get you?
Absolutely. 509-868-9181. Bernadette at SpokanePillar.com.
All right. And I'm Mike Gonzalez. You can reach me 509-850-4748. Mike at SpokanePillar.com. All right, Bernadette, it was our fastest one, but it was good seeing you again. And we'll be back really soon for the Bernadette Pillar Real Estate Podcast. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you. Happy holidays.